So in February, I was over here saying maybe the Niners should consider trading George Kittle. Niner fans got really mad about that. I was canceled. I'm still canceled because I even suggested trading George Kittle. Now, a lot of Niner fans are saying the right thing to do is trade Deebo Samuel. He's not a team guy. He cares too much about money. He doesn't have longevity. He's not working out with Trey Lance. You know, he didn't eat his vegetables last night. There's a whole list of reasons why trading Deebo is a good idea. Anyone who's into that, and I'm not, how could you not be into George? Explain to me the phenomenon of the 49er fan that would totally be okay with trading Deebo, but wouldn't even consider trading George Kittle. That one for me is quite.
It goes back to the conversation we talked about, right? It's just you're comfortable and you don't want to challenge yourself with that thought process because you don't like the idea of George Kittle playing on another thing. I'm going to be upfront. I disagreed with you on that one, Grant. I disagreed with you on here, but I didn't disagree with you.
You're not trying to trade Deebo, though. There are some people who are like, you know what? It's easier to find a player like Deebo than a player like Kittle.
Which is total crap. It's just, the Deebo negotiation doesn't seem to be going the way I think it wants to, so let me just make myself feel better by saying that. That's what it is. The one thing I'll say about Kittle is that I didn't want to trade him, but that was not because I didn't think, oh my God, that it's not worth having a conversation and discussing it. I didn't want to trade him because it's the same reason I don't think you can get rid of Deebo Samuel. When Trey Lance is starting, I don't think there's any way that you can – I think you would screw him over if George Kittle and Deebo Samuel aren't on the field for any other reason, if they're playing for another team at any point when he's having his first start, because – those are the guys that make this offense special. Those are the guys, that you look at and say, well, that's why I think Trey Lance can be exceptional. It's not just his talent. It's not just Shanahan. He's got Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. So from that standpoint, that's why I didn't want to trade him. I think you took a lot of crap for no reason. I think people didn't want to hear you out and hear out your reasoning because they didn't want to challenge themselves.
They didn't want to have the conversation.
I think, and it's a matter of comfortability. I understand. I'd certainly be frustrated. And I thought you pointing it on Twitter a little bit tongue-in-cheek was funny, but it was also apt because I'm going to be honest with you, Grant, the 180 I've seen on Deebo Samuel, some of the stuff I've just read scrolling through the app on Deebo Samuel over the last couple of days is gross. It's gross. Disgusting. Yeah. Because he deleted something on Instagram, people are like, he's not a team player. He wants too much money, all of this. Hell yeah. He should want too much money. And if he doesn't get it, well, he doesn't get it. But
are we thinking Kittle didn't want all the money he could possibly negotiate?
People forget, okay, it's a capped league, right? And I think we agree that it's not like the Niners should just come into the negotiation and acquiesce to whatever Deebo asks. But Deebo shouldn't also just acquiesce to whatever the Niners want. And it frustrates me because he should be allowed to ask how much money he wants, and he's allowed to go about the negotiation whatever way he wants, and it doesn't change anything about the fact that
the Niners won't pay him. 8 other teams will. I mean, if the Niners draw the line, 8 of the teams will pay him what he's worth, and he's not like a Niner for life. These are all business transactions. The Niners will cut you at any moment. Like, I'm sorry. I think people get mad because he's not like Frank Gore, like a total liar.
And he not only has that, he has a responsibility to his contemporaries. The best corner in football just said, if go listen to the Jalen Ramsey, there's two things I want to point out from that. The Jalen Ramsey interview on Pivot. I know a lot of people don't like Jalen Ramsey. If you love football, it's a great conversation. You can learn a lot. I think it's worth listening to him on Pivot with Ryan Clark, Channing Crowder, who, by the way, called Russell Wilson a square. So if you want to like Channing Crowder, he called Russell Wilson a square. So go listen to him. And Fred Taylor. Jalen Ramsey said 2 things that's really interesting. He said when he signed his contract, they were talking about DBs getting their money. Marlon Humphrey was the next guy up. And he said that Marlon Humphrey, he thought, would take his contract and then ask for $2 million or $1 million more because he was the next guy up. Marlon Humphrey instead signed for $5 million less than Jalen Ramsey, and he said that took their market back. So Deebo Samuel, as an athlete, has that responsibility when Jalen Ramsey, the best corner in football, says Deebo Samuel is tied for the best receiver in the NFL because he means more to his offense than anybody else, and their entire offense is built around him. He has that responsibility to his contemporaries, not to take less money, because if Deebo Samuel profits, then the next guy up, whether it's DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, profits. So
people made this argument when Kittle asked for $20 million. Remember, Kittle wanted $20 million. He wanted to be paid like a wide receiver, and everyone's like, good for Kittle. He's doing this not for himself, but for tight ends. He's
Yes.
doing it for tight ends. Okay, well, Deebo's doing it for wide receivers.
Yeah. And that's that. So he has that responsibility. And then the second thing is, by the way, Bay Area Ballers impersonation doing this. That was so funny.
So
Yours of him too was also fantastic, by the way.
But his was way better. And I should have known that if you're gonna come at someone like that, you got to do it A+ because he's gonna come back and get it better.
Yeah,
so
he got you. He got you. But going back, so we agree he has the responsibility. The second thing is, I thought Jalen Ramsey laid out exactly why, Deebo Samuel is such a special player and why he deserves to get paid. This offense revolves around Deebo Samuel. This offense is built around Deebo Samuel, and he's the most important player to this offense. Again, it's April. I don't think we can say, oh, the deal is not going to get done. The deal is going to get done because the negotiation is going to start this way. But I'm so sick of seeing people poo-poo Deebo for taking 49, scrubbing his Instagram of 49ers content. Why? Who cares? Yeah. Why? He doesn't owe the 49ers anything. He can ask for what he wants to ask, and the Niners can offer what they want to offer, and then they can negotiate.
This was technically a George Kittle topic. Let's move on because we have a lot more Deebo to talk about today. And Poggle asked a good question for us to get into it. Grant, I asked this to Vish on the phone earlier. Who would you rather trade first, Deebo or Bosa? To me, I've changed my mind on this. It used to be I would rather trade Deebo. Now, I think I would rather trade Bosa. I think as great as Bosa is, I'm not taking anything away from him. Great defensive end. I think an explosive wide receiver is actually even more valuable than a great defensive end. And I think that's the trend we're seeing in the league right now. So I think Deebo, if you take Bosa off this team, I think they could win. If you take Deebo off this team, I'm not sure they would.
I mean, I think they would have won a few more games without Nick Bosa in 2020 if Deebo Samuel was healthy. I don't know if I 100% agree with that. Fair. But it's tough. It's tough. It's tough.